Commander is an extremely strategic, skill-intensive game that requires careful planning, strong deck-building skills, or you could throw that out the window and embrace the chaos. If you're ready to learn about a world of Commander chaos insanity, stick around because we're about to show you how to build a deck using Magic's craziest archetype. So what does it actually mean to be a chaos deck? These decks usually want to lean into some random element of Magic, adding even more variance to the game and adding a layer of unexpectedness to a normal match. Some of these decks have a more controlled approach to chaos and get to pick and choose what parts of the game are randomized. Others are all about maximizing the carnage and just want to see completely over-the-top strange things happen. Word of warning, chaos strategies can be kind of polarizing for Commander players. The randomness can come off as annoying and unserious sometimes, so it might be worth a quick Rule Zero conversation before you whip out the old Chaos deck in a casual pod. We covered this recently when we reviewed the most annoying archetypes to play against in Commander, and I really recommend you check that one out. There are a couple really tilting things in there. The first variant of Chaos is the coin flip deck. This strategy just jams as many coin flip cards into a deck as possible, and this is for people that really want to try their 50-50 luck when they're playing Magic. These are almost always blue-red decks led by the partner pairing of Zndrsplt and Okaun, though Yusri, Fortune's Flame, can be pretty fun too. Krark the Thumbless and Ral Monsoon Mage work pretty well as Spellslinger versions of this deck. And hey, if you want to see us cover Spellslinger decks in another video, let us know in the comments down below. Coin flip decks aren't as volatile as you'd think. You've got stuff like Invert Polarity, which either counters a spell or straight up steals it, and cards like Breaches the Blastmaker that either copy your spells or deal extra damage if you lose the coin flip. There are some traditional all-or-nothing coin flip cards like Stitch in Time and the original Ral Zarek that can give you a bunch of extra turns or do nothing at all. If you ask me, this is what Chaos is all about. It's either all win or all lose. By far the most important card for any coin flip deck is Krark's Thumb, which just gives you better odds of winning any coin flip. And don't forget Edgar, King of Figaro from Final Fantasy. It just makes you auto-win your first coin flip every turn, which takes all the variance out of the strategy. Dice rolling strategies are pretty similar, but don't have quite as much support yet. They can be fun to play, and still have their anti-variance cards like Barbarian class, but they're really not all that chaotic in comparison. Cascade is one of the most broken mechanics in all of Magic, and some players harness that brokenness by setting up Cascade chains of endless value. Here's the glorious thing about Cascade. It almost doesn't matter what you cascade into, since it's free value either way. There are tons of popular Cascade commanders too. Abaddon the Despoiler is the most popular one, but you've got Maelstrom Wanderer, Yidris, Maelstrom Wielder, and Averna Chaos Bloom as other top-tier choices. Outside the command zone, you've got some incredible cascaders like Apex Devastator, Bloodbraid Challenger, and Maelstrom Nexus if you want to go really big. You could cut down on variance here by setting up your cascades with top deck manipulation, but where's the fun in that? One note about Cascade decks, you probably want to cut down on counterspells in this archetype. These are just really bad to cascade into, though they can be pretty sick if you hit them off an instant speed cascade spell like Bituminous Blast. And don't forget about the Discover mechanic either. It's a fixed version of Cascade with some strong choices like Trumpeting Carnosaur and Chamil the Inner Sun. If you want to get as extreme as possible with a Chaos deck, you're going to want to try out Polymorph. Polymorph is slang for an effect that replaces a creature in play with a random creature from that player's library, and it's one of the most gratifying ways to build a Chaos deck. These are designed so your Chaos effect always hits a battlecruiser like Blightsteel Colossus or Atraxa Grand Unifier. They definitely capture that all-or-nothing feel of a Chaos deck, but I think you lose some of the fun if you always know what creature you're going to get. You could always toss a copy of Leveler in your deck to keep the tension high instead. You could of course diversify your threats a bit to keep things interesting, like playing a Jalira Master Polymorphous deck with 10 big Haymakers in your deck so you don't get the same thing every time. If you want to go nuts with this archetype, you can try to build around a mass polymorph plan where you're looking to reshape the entire battlefield and see where the dust settles. Warp World is 100% the poster child for this strategy, where everyone picks up all their cards and the whole battlefield changes. The Great Aurora does something similar, but green isn't a primary Chaos color, so you don't see it as much. And this is what I mean about Chaos being an unserious archetype sometimes. If you seriously plan on resolving a Warp World, that could take like 30 minutes to an hour, for real, just to resolve the single spell. You could aim for somewhere in the middle with effects like Chaotic Transformation, Over the Top, and Chaos Mutation, which reshape the battlefield but don't result in a completely random board state. By the way, you know what else isn't random? Subscribing to this channel. This last style of chaos is all about switching control of permanents and spells. Unlike the polymorph version, where you're trying to resolve one or two big spells and then you're just along for the ride, this version is a blessing from the RNG gods themselves. This is chaos at its finest. Switching control of permanents, replacing spells with other random cards, and making every game action a total crapshoot for everyone involved. You don't see effects like this too often anymore, but some classic examples include Possibility Storm, Knowledge Pool, Confusion in the Ranks, and Scrambleverse. It's hard to play a real game of Magic with effects like this in play, and that's kind of the point. You know when you Chaos Warp your opponent's 1/1 soldier and they flip into Ghalta Stampede Tyrant? Well, that's exactly why people play Chaos decks like this, for those big story moments where people just get ridiculous cards at random. You know, it's not really for everyone, but if you're into some ultra chaotic, crazy, random, brain-dead magic, this is definitely the strategy for you. So now that we know what Chaos decks look like, how do we actually pilot something like this? If you're building a Chaos deck just to see random stuff happen and get a big wow moment out of a match, just play whatever and don't get too in the weeds about your deck building decisions. Run a bunch of ramp and Chaos cards and you'll be great. But if you're interested in playing Chaos and still want to have a winning game plan, you'll be happy to hear that there are some things that you can do to make that happen. First, identify what Chaos effects you're going to play, and then figure out how to break parity on them. For example, if you're running Possibility Storm and Knowledge Pool, you could run Drannith Magistrate and have a lock in your deck that prevents opponents from casting spells. If you're running a bunch of cards that switch control of permanents like Perplexing Chimera and Confusion in the Ranks, you can play bounce spells and the like to get your permanents back while keeping what you stole from other players. You could even go the group hug route with stuff like Ian Malcolm Chaotician and Share the Spoils, which give everyone cards but still feel like chaos. Jeff Goldblum literally says chaos in the name, in case it wasn't obvious. And if you're going all the way with Warp World, you can build around that too. Play a token deck that pumps out a bunch of treasure, clues, and so on, then fire off your Warp World and hopefully you'll end up with more stuff in play than your opponents. It can backfire, but you signed up for that when you decided to play a Chaos deck. Chaos decks can be really fun or really annoying, and ideally they fall somewhere in the middle. Your goal is to add to the randomness that already exists within Magic, which can be really fun if you read the room properly and make sure that everyone is ready for what's coming. If you're about to be playing a deck with cards like Warp World in it, or if you're planning on polymorphing every other turn, you might want to mention that in your Rule Zero conversations. It's up to you, but honesty is a good policy. What's your experience with Chaos decks? Let us know down below if you've tried one that was particularly cool, let us know what you think about the archetype in general, and also let us know what archetype we should cover in our next video.